morning, just now on TikTok, they are giving eviction notices to people whose houses didn't burn down.
No fucking way. Like, I wasn't in the conspiracy camp like space lasers caused the Hawaiian wildfires on purpose, but I sure shit knew BlackRock, Vanguard, and other bankers weren't gonna give up a fire sale, so, like, before I freak out and, like, start sharpening the guillotine, like, maybe this is just a one-off, right?
This Lahaina shit is insane. I have a friend who lost his home, he lost everything, but this isn't for him, this is somebody else by him. They didn't lose their home, but they're about to, because the mayor is evicting the entire fucking building. Some of the only people that still had homes, and they're evicting them. They have 45 days. Pause to read.
I wish I didn't fucking pause to read. You mean to tell me that if the Sus wildfire didn't make me homeless, the government is now going to, even though I had a home to go back to? And like, does the excuse even make sense to anyone? It's like, you have no press release on how you're gonna rehabilitate the area, but you will hand me an eviction notice and tell me I have 45 days to get out, but like, I'll get my deposit back, just don't be late on rent. Like, you haven't even talked to FEMA on how you're gonna rehouse everybody that is actually homeless. Like, we're supposed to believe you now?
These are the last people on this island in this little area that have a home still, and they're kicking them out of it. I hope this is the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Let me make sure I understand everything about this godforsaken timeline so I'm not overreacting. You mean to tell me that a Sus wildfire wiped out all the homes of all the locals living in an area that's coincidentally the most valuable in all of Maui, and the insurance companies won't cover the majority of the damages, but also coincidentally, all the rich bankers and real estate developers are willing to buy the land for cheap, like they won't give you full price because the building's missing, but they'll give you more than what it's worth now. And like, this is all legal. Like, this shit's okay. Like if I just blow all my money on the guillotines and like Kevlar and rounds, like, is this like, I don't know, like, hey conservatives, this is your fucking time to shine. Second Amendment, tell us what it's for, man. I don't fucking, am I overreacting? Somebody please debunk me. Like, this cannot be legal. This side note, if somebody has a 501c in Lahaina ready to go, like, I'll tell you exactly what to fucking do to fight fire with fire. Like don't give some stupid random ass Asian TikTok or anything. Just, I can't, they can't, how is this possible?
So this is actually what's happening in Maui right now that a lot of people are not talking about, and it's very sad. So recently, Hawaiian officials just passed a law, listen to this, that does not allow new development on Hawaiian land unless it's a natural disaster. So then guess what happens? The laser beams, the natural disaster happens, which allows the new developers to come in and to legally buy the land at a discounted price. And the government knew this. They put in the loophole, unless a natural disaster happens, it then happens. Developers get discounted land, and who gets screwed? The people. And now what's being reported is that the insurance companies are now trying to get out of paying out the Hawaiians due to zoning infractions, which we know is a bunch of baloney. So we have the insurance companies getting out of having to pay due to zoning infractions. We have the government that put in the loophole that the developers now can buy the land legally at a discounted price, and who gets screwed? We, the people. This is why the government needs to get smaller and they need to get their hands out of everything, including our insurance.
Down power lines. The information is being spotlighted in international press, but the chief is pushing back against criticism, telling HNN it's too premature to second-guess those decisions. This drone video shows rows of charred cars jamming both lanes of Front Street in historic Lahaina town, a scene that portrays the chaos on August 8th as people tried to flee the town as flames engulfed the area.
I was trying to turn right out of my neighborhood, which would have taken me to Front Street, but nothing was moving.
Nearly 3 weeks since the deadly wildfire, some information has emerged that wasn't initially highlighted. The Associated Press writing an article with the headline, "Many had no warning and no way out. Those who dodged a barricade survived." The AP reports that car after car was turned back to the rapidly spreading wildfire by a barricade blocking access to the highway to get out of Lahaina town. This week, Maui's police chief explaining why barricades were set up.
Down power lines, which would kill you if you go over it. Or it's a fire that's engulfed the area. So there was a point when we didn't let traffic into Front Street because Front Street was on fire. But we did not impede people from exiting the area.
It comes as Maui County is suing HECO for allegedly causing the fires by not shutting off power ahead of time due to high winds and dry brush. In an exclusive interview with the U.S. Fire Administration, the head of the agency tells HNN she believes once the West Maui fire started, under the conditions that day, there was no way of stopping it.
The wind speeds coming from the nearby hurricane caused the air and the fire to move very fast.
Do you think, given how fast moving this was, that this could have been stopped with enough firefighters?
Not with the number of firefighters that you had available on this island, and were outpaced from the very beginning.
So you believe even if they had all the firefighters on the island in front of Lahaina, it still would have got through?
They did have everything that was in the stations on that day, on the island that was dispatched to this fire, and they were outpaced.
Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Scott asks, would you do what those cops were ordered to do and not let those people out and made them go back to burn alive just because those were your orders? No, Scott, I would not follow those orders. Maui's an island. It's surrounded by water. Those people are trapped. They have to get out. I don't know why the cops turned them back towards the fire. It makes no logical, reasonable sense. I have tried to think of every excuse or justification, and I can't think of one. Secondly, I read that there was water readily available to help extinguish the fire and stop it from spreading, but somebody abandoned their post, or somebody gave the wrong order, or somebody didn't follow the chain of command and the water was wasted. I don't know the facts. I shouldn't make an opinion based off of without knowing the facts. But from what I do know is everything's murky. They all messed up. From the bottom to the top. They all messed up. They were not prepared. And I blame the emergency management director, because this is his job, is to prepare and plan for the worst. Which he failed to do, which I, talked about in my previous video. But I'm not from Hawaii. I'm from Iowa. I've been to Hawaii once. Loved it. Can't wait to go back. I'm from Iowa. We have tornadoes. I've covered tornadoes. When disasters happen, we want people to leave, because then it doesn't cause a distraction for us. Then we can get in utility companies. We can get in emergency services. We can get in, not FEMA, but like Red Cross and stuff, right? We want people to get out. We don't want anybody to come in that's not those specific services. So why they turn them back, I don't know. These folks, there's no bridge that connects the Maui Island to the Honolulu Island. There isn't. The only way they can get there is by, I'm assuming, air or water. So I don't know. I don't know how you don't plan for this, a mass exodus of people trying to get to a harbor or get to a ferry or get to the airport. Like, those should be lanes that we are opening up. You should be able to drive on the shoulder at Mach 10 to get there safely and fast as soon as possible. Oh, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. We got a tropical depression that's going to may or may not become a hurricane in California. I hate to say it. I hope I'm wrong, but I would not be surprised if there was lives lost there that could have been prevented had you had an emergency management coordinator pre-planned. I'm an active shooter instructor. I go to my schools religiously, and we preach safety, and we all come to a consensus, an agreement. The school, the sheriff's office and emergency management, the sheriff's office and EMS, the sheriff's office and the fire department, and dispatch is in the middle of all of it, and we're all communicating, and we're all forming a plan of a worst case scenario. And I'm not saying that it would go in perfect step, okay? Obviously, it's going to be a shitstorm, but at least you have somewhat of a plan. And we're at the local level. These guys are at the state level. Sorry, I got interrupted. But we're at a local level. These folks are at a state level in a very large metro area city. Like, come on. How do you not plan for this? You're surrounded by trees. You're in a tropical climate. You didn't think that that island would ever catch fire at some point, and we need to have emergency evacuation routes, or how to get a lot of people off this little island as fast as possible? Like, damn.
Saw this coming. They couldn't respond fast enough, and so they jumped into the bay, into the harbor area. What they didn't realize is that the wind was so strong, it immediately began to take them out to sea. And it's not being reported right now in the news, but on a neighboring island of Lanai, they found 183 bodies washed ashore there. And there's 800 as of today reported missing. There are many hundreds that are being refrigerated right now, trying to get ID. They're asking people on the island to provide their DNA so they can match DNA to others. But outside the media, they're expecting this to reach almost 2,000 people.
Okay, guys, I want to show you what it was like to have to get gas in West Maui for days and days and days after this fire that occurred quite far away from where I am now. It was, even though there was gas in the tanks, in the ground, in the local gas stations that were not affected at all, were not anywhere near the fire, you could not purchase gas. There was no backup generator. There didn't seem to be any effort to bring them back online. And so you had to wait in lines that were miles long for government fuel to be, I think that's what it was, to be given to you. You had to ask for it. You had to spend your whole day in these lines. And we tried this for 3 days because we didn't have enough fuel. Even if the situation wasn't that we needed special permission slips to come back to our home, even then, we didn't have enough fuel to leave West Maui. What a lot of people don't realize is West Maui is fairly isolated from the rest of the island. It's not a 10-minute drive to get out of West Maui. I mean, from where we are, it's like a 45-minute drive, right? So you have to have a good amount of fuel. You're running into weird traffic and stuff, and you don't want to get stuck out there. There's not even cell service in parts of this area when the cell's working, but of course that was all cut off from here. So you can see this is a very, very small portion. We have some drone footage, and we have some video in our car driving along this line of traffic you see on the right side to get up onto this dirt road, which eventually goes to the fuel truck. And it is enormously, I mean, it's got to be 2 miles long. And the thing is, it's they brought in 2 trucks, but one of them was diesel. So almost all of these cars use normal unleaded fuel. And because of that, not everybody got fuel. We tried this. We spent our whole day doing this because we lived 20 minutes away from a fire. So now we had to do this for some reason. Every single thing about this is fucking crazy. So it's just absolutely chaos, totally chaotic situation. And really, it legitimately seems like some kind of social experiment. I have a lot of trouble believing. I don't know, right? I don't know what they're doing. But if this is really just people that are just being incredibly inept, I mean, the level of incompetence, I am going to do my best to continue to broadcast this stuff to you guys from the media-free zone, what has been dubbed the media-free zone, because it's apparently necessary to prevent people from documenting anything if those people live 20 minutes away from a fire.
Oh, One Love, you ought to see all the videos of the people of Maui and Lahaina sitting here greeting Joe Biden as his barricade rolls through their location. This is why I'm saying Hawaii just turned deep red. They saw this administration already allocate money to Ukraine while being forgotten about. And you know, classic Joe Biden always makes things about himself. As the people of Lahaina sat there and lost everything, Joe Biden starts talking about what he almost lost. His house, his wife, his kids, his 67 vet as he laughs and says that. The people of Maui don't give a shit about what the fuck you almost lost. Joe does this every time. Do y'all remember what he said to one of the Gold Star wives from our soldiers coming back from Afghanistan after that debacle? I know what you're going through. My son also came home in a flag-draped coffin, which is a fucking lie.
Guys,
it wasn't that for me, One Love. It was that he was falling asleep yesterday during the memorial there in Hawaii.
I went through hours of footage, and it was pretty interesting what I found here. The famous umbrellas. These are actually Tommy Bahama umbrellas. And I have pictures of these before the fire, so you can see what they actually used to look like. Not very different now. And then the sole surviving car on Front Street in front of the outlet mall. And I actually found another sole survivor car the other direction that's a little bit further south on Front Street, which I didn't notice at the time. But here it is right here. You can see it on the left in this frame here. Anyway, I'm going to just roll some of this footage. Most of this is unreleased. It doesn't really work that well with TikTok because this is all shot in 16:9, but I've got hundreds of gigabytes, many, many hours of footage, both on the ground and in the air. So all of that footage, again, has been uploaded to a friend in an undisclosed location. They then copied all of that data onto a 256 AES encrypted hard drive and then physically took it to somebody else. So if somebody's able to intercept that or get it, then we've lost. I mean, there's nothing more I could have done. In the middle of editing this footage last night, there was an incident where some people came to my house. They were banging on my door and they were yelling, "Jeff Cygnus, Jeff Cygnus." We made the decision just to kind of lay low and see if the situation escalated. I was ready to defend myself. It seemed like it was at least two people, I think potentially more. We heard them talking to each other, and eventually they just went away, but I could hear the tone in their voice. I mean, these people certainly were not my friend. And I just want to speak candidly with you guys for a few minutes here, if I can. This whole last 2 weeks has been the longest 2 weeks of my life, no question. And I mean, I've done some stressful things in my life for sure, but nothing quite to this magnitude. And at the moment, I really need to think about the safety of my family, and I need to think about my personal safety. Now, I'm not done telling this story, but if anything happens to me, I won't be able to tell the rest of it. I am very confident, though, that the person who is in possession of the footage will be able to pick up where I left off, if that's what it takes. And
the world's first airborne directed energy weapon, the airborne laser, also known as the ABL. Just mounting the ABL requires one of the most sophisticated and elaborate modifications in history. The entire nose section is removed and retrofitted, and the world's largest titanium plate is installed to hold the enormous turret-mounted laser in place. The ABL system is designed to find, track, and destroy an enemy target in the air and on the ground. It can loiter at 40,000 feet for 5 hours, refuel in midair, and destroy a target 60 miles away in less than a second.
Oh,